An average person in 2026 touches their phone over 2600 times a day. Yes, 2600 times. Almost none of those touches were their own idea. Somebody somewhere in an office or in a company decided you were going to do that, at what time you are going to do that, everything. A team of people, actually. People with PhDs in psychology and neuroscience sitting in offices running A B tests on your behavior, whose entire job and their entire work in those companies is to make sure your thumb keeps on moving in your mobile phone. This video is about who, how, and what exactly is it costing you. Today, we're going to talk about the attention economy, what it actually is, what it does to your brain, and what it does to your central nervous system. More importantly, what can you do about it starting today? I'm going to give you a challenge at the end of this video: 30 days, a pen and a diary, and 2 hours every day away from all electronic devices. I think it might be the most useful thing you do this year. This is the composed meal. Let's get into it. Now, coming to the section number one, how the machine actually works. Let's start with the mechanism, the working. Because most people have a vague sense that something is being done to them without understanding exactly what it is, this vague awareness is easy to dismiss. Precise understanding is much more harder to ignore. Here is the business model every major social media platform uses in one single sentence. You are not just the customer, you are the product also. Your attention is what's being sold to advertisers, to marketing agencies, to brands, to social media agencies, to business developers, everyone. And the applications which you use in your phone are just the harvesting machine of your brain. The word matters. Harvested, not borrowed, not shared, taken from you without permission. Processed, packaged, and sold to whoever is willing to pay for the access to your eyeballs. Now, here is how they do it. And I want to be very precise about this because this is not a vague psychological trick. They are very specific, very documented engineering decisions. Infinite scrolling, uh, autoplay in videos. Before infinite scrolling and before autoplay, a video or a page ended. That was the natural stopping point. A moment where you had to make an active decision to either continue more or you can stop and keep your phone to the side. Infinite scrolling and autoplay has removed that decision completely from your hands and from your eyes. The default became continuation till you don't consciously stop yourself from scrolling or from watching a video. Stopping became the active choice, not the passive choice, and most people never make it in time. Autoplay, which is used in videos, same mechanism, remove the decision to keep watching, make stopping require extra additional voluntary effort. Passive continuation is the design nowadays. Variable reward. This one is most important now. The unpredictability of what happens next in a video or in an image or in moving images, sometimes something great, usually offers something mediocre. Occasionally, something that makes you laugh or something that makes you feel something is the exact same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive in a casino. This is the same working, this is the same mechanism which is now being used in most handheld devices in today's date. The brain doesn't get hooked to the reward, it gets hooked on the anticipation of a reward coming in. But nothing comes in. No reward, no pleasure, nothing comes out of that. That might be coming. The scrolling is the lever, and you pulling it thousands of times a day is the trigger. Notification design, red badges, sounds, vibrations, everything is calibrated to create an urgency that isn't even there in the first place, interrupting whatever you are actually doing, pulling you back into the same loop again and again and again. The urgency feels personal. It was designed in a meeting. And on top of all this, at any given moment, you are being continuously bombarded with looped videos, images, music, sound, reels, people jumping around, colorful products, editing, graphics, advertising, pop up ads, banners, all of it, which is psychologically designed to keep you in an endless scrolling loop so that you never close the application ever. All in a bid for you to buy whatever that agency or media company is selling to you. And here's the thing I want to be clear about. Because this video isn't a moral crusade, this is a very, very good way of doing business. It works. I agree. See, if you are coming from a company point of view, not from a consumer's point of view, if you're a business, if you're a freelancer, if you're somebody who sells goods, this is a very, very good way to do business. And this is a proven way also. This makes you money. This fills your pockets. It's a generous, it generates enormous revenue. It is scalable also. It works. But here in this video, the question which I'm asking is whether or not the business model works, yes or no. It obviously does. But at what cost? What is the cost which you have to bear? That is the main priority in this video. Now, I would like to begin with section 2, what it does to your brain and body. Let's talk about the bill because there is one and most people are paying for it without actually realizing it. Starting with the tiredness nobody can explain. You have had this day, a day where you didn't work particularly very hard physically, or you didn't have any especially difficult conversations with anybody or meaningful conversations with anybody, and even so, by evening 8 p.m., you are completely exhausted in a way that doesn't actually usually match what your actual day looked like. This is not laziness. This is your brain having processed thousands and thousands of micro inputs, images, sounds, text, video, notifications, none of which were actually fruitful or useful for you. All of which required real processing and understanding energy. You are unknowingly and unawareingly overloading your body and your central nervous system with information you don't need, which is ultimately frying your brain cells and your dopamine receptors in your brain and in your body without even actually realizing it. The brain doesn't distinguish between information that matters and information that doesn't. It processes everything which you feed it. And you have been feeding it a fire hose all day long. Your CNS, your central nervous system, cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is a digital stimulus. Every alarming headline, every aggressive notification, every rapid cut video activates a low level stress response, cortisol, elevated heart rate, shallow breathing. Multiply that by hundreds and hundreds and thousands of times a day, and you have a central nervous system that never really returns to a baseline normal process. This is the reason why so many people feel vague, fatigued, have anxiety that they can't source. It's not their real life, it's their central nervous system chronically overstimulated, never allowed to fully reset, running on a low level alarm signal 24 hours a day. This is the reason why you feel exhausted throughout. This is the composed meal. Let's get into it. Let's go. Another aspect of your body which takes a very huge hit is your eyesight. This one people know about in the abstract but rarely hear stated plainly. Constant blue light exposure for hours and hours on end every day is impairing your eyesight in the long run. Not immediately, not dramatically, gradually, quietly over the years as the time goes by. Degrading your sleep quality because blue light suppresses melatonin production, which then degrades every other system downstream. Cognitive function, emotional regulation, immune responses, all of it is affected badly by the sleep quality, which progressively downgrades because of blue light exposure. All of it is touched by the screen you stare at before bed every single night, each and every day. Then there is the problem of attention span. The ability to hold focus on one thing for a sustained period of time has measurably declined across the population over the last decade. Even with yourself, you might be feeling that you can't watch or can't focus on something more than 30 seconds, more than 50 seconds, more than 1 minute. This is the reason why. The primary driver is habitual short form consumption. Reels, YouTube shorts, short videos, TikTok, all these things. The brain gets rewired towards novelty and away from depth. Sustained focus starts to feel uncomfortable. Not because you're incapable of it, but because your brain now interprets it as deprivation. It wants the next input, not by choice, but by training. It has been trained to need it. Sit with that for a second. This makes that this thing that makes a man dangerous, his ability to focus deeply on one thing and see it through, is exactly what is being systematically eroded and dismantled, not by accident, by design. This is very, very crucial and important for you to understand. The thing that makes a man most dangerous, his ability to single mindedly focus on a thing and see it through, is exactly what is being dismantled step by step each and every day. Now, coming to the dopamine mechanism, here's the engine underneath all of this. The more dopamine you expose your brain to, the more it will need. This is not a metaphor, this is how the hardware works. The baseline shifted upwards, and the things that used to produce a sense of satisfaction or pleasure, a quiet morning, a good conversation, a walk through the park, have entirely stopped registering as active stimuli to your body. Not because it gets worse, because your brain has gotten used to a level of stimulation that you cannot longer compete with. This is how people become addicts. Not the dramatic version, the ordinary version. They become used to one high and then they always need the next high and a higher high and a higher high and a higher high, and this loop tightens and never ends. The gap between hits shorten. The discomfort of not having the phone in your hand grows. And somewhere along the way, scrolling stopped being something they chose and became something that just happens to them. Instead of maxing out on dopamine, you need to minimize dopamine. You need to minimize this process. You need to minimize this outcome completely. And your brain will find dopamine one way or another. That's not optional, that's the source. But the source can change. A walk in the park, reading a book, sitting and breathing, having breathing exercises, doing breathing exercises, having a coffee and building something you're generally passionate about. None of these things are consolation prizes. They are the activities that produce a different quality of dopamine, slower, quieter, more sustainable. The kind that leaves you feeling more like yourself, not less. But here's the thing that actually takes willingness to do: refusing to play this dopamine harvesting game. Yes, this is what I have named it: dopamine harvesting game. Because it's much, much easier to keep pulling the lever. That means keep pulling out your and checking your phone and seeing your phone again and again and again and again and again and again. The opposition to the scroll has to be a choice you make consciously each and every day until it becomes the default. The 99% angle. Nobody says out loud about this, and here's why I'm so bullish about it specifically. Because this is the opposite of what the 99% of the people are doing as of now. Right now, everyone is obsessed with making their Instagram look more happening, look more exciting than it actually is. Everybody is trying to chase the next high. Everybody feels anxious because they've got some foreign remote island, because they're not on some foreign remote island sipping margaritas by the beach. They're not successful in their opinion. They don't have the money in their opinion which they would have, thought that they will have by now. Even if they have, they're already planning what comes after it. I'm telling you to keep all of that aside. If you know anything about how we roll on this channel, we always stay ahead of the curve. Right now, the curve is handling straight into a wall of chronic overstimulation. Is heading straight into a wall of chronic overstimulation. The man who steps off that curve quietly without announcing it is the man who keeps his attention, his focus, his depth, and the compounding advantages which come with all the three. Now, let me repeat that one again, once again. The curve is heading straight into a wall of chronic overstimulation in today's state. The man who steps off that curve quietly without announcing it is the man who keeps his attention, his focus, his depth, and the compounding advantages that come with all the three. This is very, very crucial and important, right? What you do is the opposite of what 99 when you do what is opposite of what the 99% people are doing, something builds in you that cannot be manufactured and it cannot be faked. A presence, a groundedness, the quality of a man who is actually in the room, not half present, not one eye on his phone, calculating how this moment would look as a story. Actually present in the room. This is increasingly rare, and rare things are noticed. Now, coming to the solution of all of this, I have told you about the problem for the last 15 minutes, right? But what is the solution of this? How can we solve this problem? The answer to this problem, the solution to this problem is journal maxing. This is the antidote. Now, here's what I would actually want you to do with all of this. I call it journal maxing. Yes, you heard it first here. I call it journal maxing. Here's the practice. Every day, keep your mobile switched off for 2 hours. During these 2 hours, sit down with a physical pen and paper and diary, not your phone, not your laptop, not your apps, note apps, not the TV in the background, but just you sitting with your thoughts, sitting with a diary, sitting with a pen and your own mind. And in that diary, write one page the answer to two questions. The first question is, what are you genuinely grateful for today? And what do you look forward to tomorrow? The two questions include, what are you grateful for today? And what do you look forward to tomorrow? Take your sweet time in writing this, no hurry, no rush. Let the thought come naturally to you as you sit and think about it. Be with it. Let the pen move at a pace of you actually thinking, not at the pace of a screen. Do this every day for 1 month, not 1 week, a month, 30 days. Because the first week is the adjustment. The interesting things start happening in week 2, mid-week 2. Here is how this works. And I want to give you the mechanism, not just the instructions. Handwriting activates different neural pathways than typing. It forces a slower processing speed that is neurologically incompatible with the dopamine harvesting loop, which you are stuck in for the rest of the day. Your brain cannot be in both states simultaneously. It has to switch to one state at a point of time. The physical act of writing in itself is recalibration. You are literally using your nervous system differently and you are training it differently also. And gratitude specifically is not a soft feel good concept, it's a cognitive intervention. It reorients your brain's default scanning mode, which after chronic social media use is threat scanning, lack scanning, comparison scanning, and heads it towards sufficiency, towards what's actually there. This changes how you see your day before it even starts. No cell phone, no laptop, no TV, just you and the copy and the page and a pen. After 30 days, I would like you to come back to this video and leave a comment. Tell me what you observed after doing this exercise. Tell me what you learned from writing about the things you're truly grateful for. I read all the comments and I want to know what happens with you specifically. And I'll just say this lightly and let you find it yourself. You'll become way, way, way more present. You'll start observing things you walked past for years. And you'll start paying attention to how people, women, animals, beings in the surroundings respond differently to you when you're actually present, when you're actually there, when you're actually outside. I'll leave that for you to discover. Now, 2600 touches a day, almost none of them are your own idea. You can keep that number or you can start taking some of those decisions back, what I told you just now, not dramatically, not all at once, but 1 to 2 hours, 2 hour a day window at a time. One page at a time, one day at a time. Journal maxing, the slow mornings, the walks with a pen and a paper, the entering a random shop asking the owner about their story, learning about a place, what it's been through, the struggles of its peoples, and truly feeling it and becoming one with it. The opposite of what the 99% people are doing. That's how you reclaim it quietly, without announcing it to anyone, slowly, progressively, more love, more life, more boring and more fulfilling days ahead. Discipline, clarity, and daily growth. Subscribe if this is the kind of man you're building towards. This is the composed mail. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Take care. Have a nice day.